Welcome back everybody, Driver53 here with another short video on precision farming for Farming Simulator 19. And y'all, today we are testing out sugarcane. That's right, I've got sugarcane planted here in Ravenport. I've got 4 strips. You know, let me show you the map really quick. So this is what we have, and these are the 4 soil types that we have: silty clay, loam, sandy loam, and loamy sand. And I've got 4 strips, one in each type of soil. Now they're a little bit narrower than the other ones, but to be able to harvest them, I kind of needed them this narrow. They still show up okay on the other maps. So let me also talk about what we're going to be looking at today. We're going to be looking at the target levels for your pH and your nitrogen. We're going to be looking at your reduction of nitrogen at harvest and how much you're left with in the ground. So let's take a look at pH first. So as you can see on silty clay, we are at 7.0. On loam, we are at 6.75. On sandy loam, we are at 6.5. And on loamy sand, we are at 6.0. So everything there is consistent with all the other tests that we've done, and those are all optimized and the preferred levels that Giants recommends. Next, we are going to go over and check out nitrogen. Now, you're going to see some of these little dots around here. While I was planting and running back and forth between all the different rows, the planter decided it was going to bounce a little bit and put some seeds in the ground that I wasn't expecting. So the main strips are going to be these right here that we're going to be looking at now. I've gone back and plowed everything else back out. You can see here on this map, these are the strips that we're going to be focusing on for this test right here. So if we take a look at our 200 level of nitrogen, that is going to be in our loam. At 180, that's going to be our silty clay. So once again, it's kind of jumped over because loam is supposed to give us 125%. That's what we've seen consistent on every other crop. Silty clay typically is only 90%. But it's got the second highest nitrogen level at the time of planting. Next, we're going to go 160, and that's going to be our sandy loam. Now, sandy loam is going to give us what we expect, 100% yield, but it's our 3rd highest nitrogen level. We've seen this before, so it's not anything out of the ordinary, and it's probably going to translate over to the other 2 numbers that we're going to look at after harvest, but don't be alarmed by that right now. And then 140 is nothing, and 120 is what loamy sand is going to start at. So I'm going to turn all these back on really quick. We're going to come back over here, and as you can see, this is where we're at. So our harvester is right here. It's going to take a couple passes, I think, but I think we'll get it knocked out. So what we're going to do now is speed up time to 120, and I will see you all when it is time to harvest. Alright, so we are ready to harvest. So let's go ahead and get this thing fired up. And I am going to stick to the right hand side here, or the left hand side here, and see how much of this I can get picked up at once. There we go. So I'm hoping that I only need to make 2 passes, but it doesn't look like it. It looks like I'm going to need to make 3. So I'm not going to keep you guys around for the whole thing, but I do want to say that this right here at loamy sand should give us 80% yield whenever it's all said and done. And here is our sandy loam. This one here, this plot, we're expecting to see 100% yield on. And this plot right here, number 3, we are expecting to see 125% yield on. As you can see, we've already got those 2, and we have 1 more to go. I really like this harvester. Just the animations on this are really cool. And this is our last little bit right here on the 4th one. This is our silty clay, and here we should see 90% yield. So as soon as we're done here, we're going to go ahead and turn everything off. We're going to pull it out of the way a little bit more. Going to shut it down. We're going to take a look at the map. Once again, here are our soil types: silty clay, loam, sandy loam, and loamy sand. So let's take a look at yields. All right. So what we see is at 125% is our loam. At 100% is our sandy loam. At 90 is our silty clay. And at 80 is our loamy sand. Awesome. So right, exactly consistent with everything else. Everything that we have tested has now been this exact same yield representation. Now, let's take a look at our pH. pH did exactly what we wanted it to. Our 7.0 on silty clay turned to 6.75. Our 6.75 on loam turned to 6.5. And our 6.5 on sandy loam turned to 6.25. Now, our 6.0 on loamy sand has turned to 5.75. And that is very consistent. That is exactly the same as everything else. So a 0.25 drop every single time. Now, let's take a look at our nitrogen levels. All right, so we've got a few of those green dots still scattered around that we just need to disregard, because that's when the planter was having a mind of its own and bouncing around and doing all that. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn off 0, we're going to turn off 20, we're going to turn off 40. Now 60. Wow. So 60 is on sandy loam and loamy sand. Both of those are 60s. 80 is our loam. And we have 100 really on silty clay. That's very interesting. So on loam, we had a reduction of 120 points. On sandy loam, we had a reduction of 100 points. On silty clay, we had a reduction of 80 points. And on loamy sand, we had a reduction of 60 points. Now that is really cool and consistent with what we've seen on, other things. And it makes sense because your highest yield has your biggest reduction. What's really interesting is that you actually have more nitrogen in the ground with silty clay than you do with anything else. So your third highest yield actually leaves you the most amount. And you got to be really careful. If you're running silty clay and you want to do a lower yield crop right after it, you're not going to be able to, because you've got 100 points of nitrogen. We've seen that there are quite a few crops that don't even require 100 points of nitrogen. That's really interesting. Very interesting, actually. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the first slide here, and it's target nitrogen level. So on loam, your target is 200, and that's kilograms per hectare. Sandy loam, it's 160. Silty clay, you're back up at 180. And then loamy sand, you're way down at 120. So, not exactly linear, but we've seen it before. So it's not weird right now, because we've seen like 3 or 4 other times this has happened too. So it's a pretty high nitrogen level crop. Next is going to be nitrogen reduction at harvest. So on loam, you're going to have 120 points come out of the soil. Sandy loam, 100. Silty clay, 80. And loamy sand, 60. And that's nice. That's nice all the way down. It's consistent, or not consistent, but it's a step. Orderly step all the way down. So nothing weird there or awkward. So the last one is going to be nitrogen after harvest. In loam, you're going to have 80 points of nitrogen left in the soil. Sandy loam, you're going to have 60, so it goes down. But on silty clay, you're way back up at 100. Really high at that. And then loamy sand, you're back down at 60. So sandy loam and loamy sand are both going to be 60. But your silty clay, way up there at 100. So it's really, really interesting that you're going to have more left in the ground than was taken out. Really, really, really interesting there. I don't know how many people use sugarcane. I think on some of the maps it's more common than others. It's from what I understand, it's a really good cash crop. I haven't done it a whole lot because of the time that it takes to harvest it. The harvester's only 2 meters wide, so I haven't planted very much at all. But I think on one of the maps, Eureka, I'm going to start planting a lot more. I just don't know if I'm going to use precision farming on Eureka. It's a great map though. If you haven't checked that one out, go check it out. TNT Modding did an amazing job throwing some stuff in there. I made a couple videos on it, so definitely go check those out. It's if you're a console player and you like unrealistic farming, you need to check that map out. I think that's going to be it, everybody. If you liked the video or learned something today, go and give me a thumbs up if you would. If you want to stay up to date on all my latest precision farming videos, I got a lot more testing in line. And as soon as we get in with all the regular stuff, we're going to jump into seasons. And I'm going to be learning that as we go because I'm not really familiar with seasons. But I'm going to do my best. I'm going to need your help to help me through and make sure I'm answering the right questions. So, have a great day, everybody. Until next time, this is Driver53, signing off.